You're listening to the Next Wave Radio Network.
Round 2, fight!
Can't we do our own secret shows?
All our shows are secret shows.
We have the tools, we have the talent.
You have to use so many cuss words.
Let's go.
Ooh, yeah!
This past week has seen the release of WWE 2K26. And
we're all waiting for
despite all my best intentions, I always get the new WWE games. For real. I know you just took a dig at it, but yeah, I play it. So we had that. We had Pokemon Pokopia.
Oh, yeah. Are you pronouncing it Pokopia? Because I've heard Pokopia.
I think it's Pokopia.
You just like Pokopia?
I like Pokopia.
P-P-O-P?
Because it makes me think of Mamma Mia, Papa Pia, Pokopia. In fact, I started singing a song with the kids where I'm like, Mamma Mia, Papa Pia, Sopa Pia, Pia Zadora.
Oh, that one.
If you poopa when you pee, do me a favor and wash the flora.
Oh, your house must be so fun.
My daughter's like, ew, that's so gross.
You know she loves
And
it.
my son is just,
Oh, I know he loves it.
but he's got no rhythm, so he tries to sing it, and he's just like, all he sings is the poopy. He's like, the poopy when you pee. Like, yeah, dude.
Well, it's funny you're bringing up pee-pee and poo-poo because we're going to be talking about a lot of that on today's episode of Low Res High Def.
Yeah.
Where we're talking about Kevin Smith, the king of pee-pee poopy jokes.
And yes, we're open. We assure you, we're open.
Yes, all things, we're calling this the complete works of Kevin Smith because he started off in film, but boy, did he branch out, especially in the 90s and even today. Went into comics and TV and more TV.
And more comics.
More comics, yeah.
He really branched out.
Well, it branched out in the way that his films did, which this one was about Jay and Silent Bob, but this one's about Silent Bob and Jay, and this one is about Jay and Silent Bob, but this one is about Jay and Silent Bob together.
This one's mostly Silent Bob, but
Yeah.
then Jay shows up.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of Jay and Silent Bob in this podcast and in Kevin Smith's oeuvre, as we'll be talking about today. If you're not a subscriber to the show, please do so. Low Res High Def, you can find us online. Our website, lowreshighDef.com. We're also on podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. You can find us there, the Low Res High Def podcast. And then now on YouTube, where you can see our ugly mugs semi-weekly. Or semi-monthly, I should say. There you go. Joe's mugging you for the camera right there.
I got to shave, man. Holy shit. It's been so long.
I have to start considering what I'm wearing when I record these podcasts now that people will be seeing. Also, what's in my background.
What are you talking about? You're always like, you're very, very conscientious about the shirts you wear. You always wear like themed shirts of stuff that we're talking
Well,
about.
sometimes.
No, dude, more often than
That's
not.
just between you and me.
Not anymore.
That is right. You, the listener, are now the viewer. You've been brought in, so you get to see if you're watching this version. Let's see what Joe's got on. I paused. I was going to stand up. Pull your pants up, Joe. I paused my game to be here. Very nice, because we do talk a lot about video games on this podcast. We also talk about movies, which you can see on my shirt.
Look at that. Mountain Dude.
Mountain Dude with the dude abiding.
Bro, I went to pick up James from school earlier this week, and I'm walking up there with the Hyacinth. I'm walking the stroller, and some dude's got like a ferret on a leash. He's walking around.
Please tell me you said nice
I
ferret.
go past him. I go, oh, man, nice marmot.
Yes.
And you could tell, like, it almost flew past him for a second, and then he caught it and was like, yeah. I was like, okay,
That's awesome.
my work here is done.
All right, let's jump in then and talk about this guy who has inspired, I think it's safe to say, has kind of inspired both of us, has been a big influence on us. We're big fans of him. I don't want to speak all for you. I'll speak for myself. I was a big fan of him when I discovered him back in the early 90s. A buddy of mine who happened to also be named Joel. We were the two Joels in my high school. But the other Joel told this Joel about this movie that he had seen over the weekend, of course, on VHS, because it was, 1994 when this film came out? Yeah. And he obviously didn't see it in theaters in the little town that I was in. It never came to screens, but on VHS is where Clerks really blew up. And word of mouth is how I found out about it. I'd seen an episode of Siskel and Ebert where they reviewed it, and both loved it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's getting good critical reviews. My buddy Joel likes it. He's got my name. Can't be helped bad, right? So when it did come to Video Giant, which was the VHS rental store that I frequented, I checked it out, and yeah, just immediate. It was one of the things where I was primed. I knew I was going to enjoy it because of word of mouth and Siskel and Ebert, of course. But when I finally saw it, I was like, oh, yes, this is what has been missing in my film consumption. There wasn't really anything like it at the time. What about you, Joe?
Well, same. Saw Clerks, and a couple of my friends, well, your friend too, Jay, he worked at a Blockbuster Video. And so we were always like kind of getting like the word of mouth, like what people are watching, what's coming in, what these things are.
Nice.
And so one night we checked out this movie. They're like, this movie Clerks, this independent film, apparently is kind of a big deal. So, we rented it, and, we brought it back to Jay's place and fucking loved it. Like really loved it. Even though we could recognize like the acting was kind of atrocious.
Yes.
But it didn't matter, because if it makes any sense, like the acting was atrocious, but the voice was very honest.
Yes.
And you could feel it watching the movie. Like you felt like this is something that's speaking to me in some way. I'm relating to this. And yeah, dude, I think what was the clincher back then, and it's funny with Clerks, there's always like a little something new that I kind of catch and appreciate a little more. But the thing that got me back then in my high school days was the whole thing about like Death Star contractors.
Yes.
And, the fact that like I'd never thought about the things that they're talking about right now.
Right.
Like, hey man, these guys are contractors, they're just working for a living, and these fucking renegades come and like blow the place up. What's up with that? You think a stormtrooper knows how to install a toilet maid?
I love that line.
And it was like, yeah, like it took so many things that were like fantastical to us and brought it down to kind of a grounded level while speaking to us on the same plane. And yeah, dude, I loved it. And, I remember the movie came out, and it was around the same time, like the internet was starting to form. And Kevin Smith was, I guess he wasn't like a huge internet presence, but he had a presence on the internet. And like he was ever posting like the full script of his movie. And so you got to read like the actual original ending where Dante gets shot.
Yes.
I remember when he posted his script to Dogma. And
I was just going to bring that up.
That movie had been floating around on the internet. Like you read that script when he was making Mallrats.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think at the end of Mallrats, there's a thing that says Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob will return in Dogma.
Yep. Oh yeah, he had it planned out, just like Quentin Tarantino.
Right, and he had like 2 other movies between them.
Yeah. Well, well, you're jumping ahead here a little bit, but I do want to pile on just to say, that Dogma script.
Yeah, go on.
I have very vivid memories of Thanksgiving. I guess that would have been 96 or 97, because I didn't have the internet at my home, but we were visiting my cousins in Houston, and they had the internet. And I found that Dogma script, and I stayed up probably till like 2 a.m. reading it all in one sitting because I was so into Kevin Smith. I was ready for his next film, and like you said,
and it's a good script. Like it grips you right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
You read that part about like the kids on the rollerblades that attack the guy on the pier, and you're like, holy shit, like these kids with hockey sticks just start beating the shit out of this guy.
It actually, I would argue, makes a better script than it does a film because of some of the compromises they had to make. And then, of course, just in general, I would say Kevin Smith is a better script writer than he is a director, right?
He's better on the page.
Yeah,
he is.
I
He is
can agree
much
there.
better on the page. He's more effective in written word than he is on the screen. But that's not to say that like I don't like his films. Dogma is my favorite of his movies. And you're right. There were a lot of compromises that had to be made there. But yeah, like again, Clerks kind of sent me down that rabbit hole where I started following this guy, and I was working in a movie theater when Mallrats came out. And we had it on one screen. Like it came out, we put it on our smallest screen because nobody was expecting much from it. So that which is a little disheartening, though. Where the studios kind of had faith in this guy because he made this indie blockbuster, but then like the movie theaters, when they bid to get these movies in or whatever, like they had to pick up this movie Mallrats that they didn't really have any faith in, so they just put it in the smallest theaters. And then look at it. I mean, it's a cult classic.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all of his movies, you could make that argument that like they're never appreciated in their time. I think the one that's appreciated the most is probably Clerks, with Chasing Amy like a close second.
I was just going to say, I think Chasing Amy, when you said Dogma is your favorite, Chasing Amy I think is mine, but those two kind of flip-flop for me. Before we go into all of his movies, I just want to back up and go back to Clerks real quick and wrap that up because,
sure.
Yes, everything you were saying, super relatable, especially because he was into all the same things we were into, movies and Star Wars and comic books. it felt like that could have been us. You know, those could have been our friends. You said the acting was bad, but I think that's part of the charm of it because it feels like, hey, we just got our friends together. We got this video camera, and this is what we were doing. We did a whole episode about my little independent movie, Cemetery Weed, but it was directly inspired and a lot of ripping off of Kevin Smith because he kind of showed that not all movies have to be. Movies were a very particular thing, back in the 80s and 90s, very kind of gatekeepery, and this whole independent film thing didn't really start to come around until the 90s. So you weren't getting these voices, and his was such a unique voice, even though it was our voice, but to see it on screen or even on VHS, and it was really refreshing to see that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So who do you think was leading that indie boom? Do you think it was Tarantino?
I mean, if you want to call him independent.
He kind of had big studio backing, but he was an independent voice. I mean, you had Spike Jonze. You had, what's his name? Oh, God, the guy who did Dazed and Confused.
Oh, yeah, Richard Linklater.
Richard Linklater.
Yeah, he's more independent than I think Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino was writing scripts for Hollywood, before he made his own film.
Sure. So. Yeah, no, that's
Linklater
true.
definitely has and he's a Texas boy, too.
I just feel like, on the forefront, if you were going to do like a Mount Rushmore of indie voices, Kevin Smith is clearly up there.
Yeah.
He was.
Would he have his baseball cap backwards in his Rushmore?
and a cigarette. Somehow there's still a cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah. Be wearing jorts.
But I think that the key is that, you're right. Movies were a certain thing. It was usually fantastical, or it was some epic story, and it was very rare that we were getting just this mundane slice of life, but in a very quirky way. With these guys had these things that were them, and any group of friends could identify. I know we didn't play hockey on a rooftop, but I'm sure there was something that we were into that was just as quirky.
Our version of it, right?
Yeah. It was the first time I felt like a movie was written to speak to me, just to hammer that point home, I guess. But what's funny is he made that, and then he got his chance with the studio.
I know.
With Mallrats. And
I was really curious. You said you saw that in theaters. I want to hear your story because I didn't find Mallrats until VHS. In fact, I didn't even know it had been released and was out. So
I was working at a Cinemark, and they sent out movie posters. We had the movie poster for it, and the movie poster was one of those Magic Eye pictures. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I remember going what? Holy shit! What? Because I think Jay and Silent Bob were on the poster, and I was like, "What?"
Makes sense.
They're in color. What's going on with this? And so we got it, and that was around the time where I was working as a projectionist, and so on Thursday nights we had to build up the new films, and I remember telling the guy that was working, it was his normal night. I was like, "Hey, tell you what, I'll stick around. Let me build out the Mallrats movie if you want, and I'll preview it," because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see what it was all about. So I guess my experience probably wasn't the best because I watched it alone in a theater. I just kind of sat down in the theater.
Well, maybe it
and
was the
part
best.
of it was me doing my job, having to check the sound, check the levels. I'd have to walk out of the theater and go back up to the booth, and then so I didn't really get to focus on it. But I still enjoyed what I saw. It was different. I remember that feeling that this feels more like I'm watching Caddyshack. This is more like Caddyshack or Porky's or Meatballs.
Yeah, any of those
which
80s
is fine.
comedies.
It's just not the tone that he had set with Clerks.
Right. It was such a departure, wasn't it?
It was different.
And for me, it worked because through all of the kind of glam and the higher budget and some of the recognizable faces and actors you had in there now, you still had Jay and Silent Bob, and you still kind of had that crude humor. So, I was there for the ideas. I was there for the comedy. And that, I think, is where Mallrats still shines. It's just edgy comedy, talking about sex and comic books and actually combining those two with the famous Stan Lee scene. But yeah,
the Stan Lee scene. Yeah.
For me, you're right. It is not what I expected. There was definitely a path that Kevin Smith could have gone down, and he chose to, I guess, be himself, which I have to commend. Unless who he turned out is not who he wanted him to be.
No, I think it's fine. The thing that I liked about the movie, it's not that I didn't like it. It just struck me different. And it took me a little while to kind of reconcile it. One of the things that really drew me in and made me love it was this performance from this actor I had never seen before named Jason Lee.
There you go.
And like for everything that like I think it was Jeremy London, everything that annoyed me about him, I just could not stand this guy. And he was like our protagonist, our guy that we had to like kind of sympathize for. But like Brody, Jason Lee's character was the fucking best. And just
he makes that film.
He shines. He draws you in from the first moment where like he's sleeping and Shannon Doherty like knocks on his head to wake him up, and like there he just owns that entire movie.
Everything he says, he speaks with such an intensity, but he he could just like break down at any minute and yell at you, or you just go ballistic. So there's always kind of that simmering underneath the surface with everything that he says, and you never know whether he's going to crack a smile or just fucking go for your throat.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
I love him.
He was the Bugs Bunny of this movie. There was a lot of Looney Tunes going on. You had Jay and Silent Bob that were like the coyote to LaFleur's Roadrunner, or Sam the shepherd dog. And then you had Brody, who was very much like the Bugs Bunny of this movie, like everything he did. Yeah, I mean the fucking chocolate covered pretzels. It was like
there you go. That's totally something Bugs Bunny would have
done.
It
was like a gross Bugs Bunny bit where Bugs Bunny would be like, "Would you like a chocolate covered pretzel?"
What do they call it? Stink palm.
Stink palming.
The stink palm.
And Michael Rooker, like
this is what I'm saying.
The only other movie at this point that I'd seen Michael Rooker in was Tombstone.
Totally. I only knew him from JFK. How about that?
Oh, really?
Which is a very non-Rooker type role that he's playing in that movie.
It's so funny to me, like, because I always got this impression that Michael Rooker, man, he must be kind of an asshole to work with. And then, watching his career as he goes through like the James Gunn years and doing that stuff, and it's really turned me around on him as a performer. But yeah, one of my first experiences with him, other than Tombstone, where he played kind of just a minor character, was in Mallrats. It's where I discovered Claire Forlani, and I think was in love with her I think she shaped what I wanted so badly in a relationship, like a girlfriend in those years.
British doing an English accent? Yeah, same.
Oh my God. A mousy librarian type. Give me that. All of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But then we got to see like the return of Dante. Brian O'Halloran, who plays Dante, plays Randall Hicks.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's his name in this
right.
one.
They combined
the two. We set up this thing where like there's a Hicks relative in almost every one of these movies that Kevin Smith
and thus begins the View Askew universe, as he calls it, right? Because View Askew was the name of the production company he created for Clerks. And since then, yes, he's certainly been loyal to his friends, bringing everybody back, and also, of course, some star power. You see Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and everything he's done basically since.
You could argue that he gave them their start.
Oh, absolutely.
At least Ben Affleck.
Even Matt Damon too. He was a rising star when. He had a small role in Chasing Amy too that he would have never been afforded.
I don't remember.
Oh yes, because he was like the assistant to the lawyer who Ben Affleck and
that's
Banks,
right.
He's just like sitting there. He has like one line. It's so crazy to see Matt Damon in there, Oscar award winner Matt Damon. But yeah, we're talking about bringing characters back, but I think we're missing the obvious too that we have not really dived deep into yet in the form of Jay and Silent Bob. Man. Delved. We have not delved into. Thank you, Jim. That's why you're the professional.
That's right.
Yes, Jay and Silent Bob coming back. But also, do you know the story behind the casting? They were going to replace, both of them initially, but then, of course, obviously the director is one of them.
Weren't they going to try to replace it with like Breckin Meyer as Jay?
Breckin Meyer was up, but also Seth Green, I think, was in the running. He would have been Jay, which of all the people that they were auditioning, he's the only one I would have been okay with. Like, all right, I could have seen the last 30 years with Seth Green as Jay. Hey, maybe things would have been a little different too, since things didn't work out so great for Jason Mewes health-wise for a while there.
It's so funny though, because it's like it feels right that it was always Kevin Smith and Jay Mewes.
Yeah. Like it would have been weird.
It feels like it would have been a crime. It would have been horrible.
Especially since everybody else was coming back, right?
Well, everybody else was coming back, but I'm just thinking about like the legacy of the films as we look at Kevin Smith's entire journey. Like, what if this didn't happen for Jay Mewes? And like that dude would probably be dead in a ditch somewhere.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
I feel like his friendship and the career that blossomed from that friendship probably saved his life.
No,
because that guy has been haunted and fought all kinds of addiction and substance abuse problems.
Yeah.
Like my hat's off to him.
Yeah, and they both just seem like, or at least Jason Mewes, just seems like a really genuinely good guy, right? It seems like somebody I could have gone to high school with and maybe ran with the wrong crowd, made some bad decisions, but just has a good heart. And I think you see that, especially in the later works. I am a fan of Jay and Silent Bob. We'll get to it later. Or maybe we'll just talk about it now. I keep wanting to do this. Yeah, but the reboot. Because I think he gives a pretty good performance.
He gives a good performance, a solid performance. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he clearly learned as he was creating these movies, maybe slower than most actors, but he learned. And he got to a point of honesty, at the end of that movie, which also has a really great monologue from Ben Affleck, who returns.
Yes.
And kind of gives a rehash of the Chasing Amy monologue in his own way. Which, for all the problems that Chasing Amy has now, looking back on it, I don't know if that was Kevin Smith's way of trying to fix it or just harken back to it. But to me, it fixes it a little bit. It fixes those problems.
I think so, too.
It used to be all about this. Now it's all about her. Like, she's the star of I used to think it was my story, but now it's her story, and I'm here to make it happen. Man, and I guess maybe it's because all these Kevin Smith movies hit at just the right time of where I was growing up.
It's like somebody's making films specifically for you in your point in life, wherever you happen to be, right?
Speaking to me through these movies. He kept, like, some more than others, but he kept speaking to me. Clerks kind of spoke to me where it's like, well, what am I going to do with my life? And this is what I do. And I hang out with my friends, and this is what's important is, trying to hook up with this girl. And then,
Dogma.
I think the next time I really felt that was with Dogma, where I was kind of having a crisis of faith.
Right.
And then Clerks 2, where they have that whole discussion in the jail, and he's like, all my life I've just wanted to hang out with my friend. Like, we did this. The only reason I stayed is because you've been here. And it's like, oh my God, I get that. Feeling like I've stayed in one place, but I've stayed there because of the people I care about. Maybe it's safe to say every other Kevin Smith movie hits at a time where I'm like, oh shit, like I completely relate to this.
I'm having a little bit of that now because one of his themes is kind of like, at least lately, is like shooting your shot, right? You get one chance at this, and I don't know if you've seen the 4:30 movie yet. That's his latest.
I haven't yet.
It's running on cable. I say cable. It's on Pluto TV is where I saw it. They basically have Pluto TV basically has like a Kevin Smith channel. Have you noticed that? I'm not sure if it is any now, but at least for the last 4 or 5 months, like you'll just see like Clerks, a lot of the movies that we've mentioned show up here. But yes, his latest is on there as well, and it suffers from a lot of the things that most of his films suffer from, but also benefits from the same things. It's funny in places, it's got fun ideas, but there's always a nice sweet moment in his films, even from the worst ones. Maybe not Tusk. We'll talk about that in a second, but. There's always a moment where even if you're like, this humor is juvenile, he's really, it's one step too far. I don't like the scene. I don't like these actors. And then usually about 3/4 of the way through the film, there's some monologue that somebody has or some scene, some dialogue. Something shifts and you get a little bit of that heart. And you kind of see behind the movie into Kevin Smith's kind of psyche and what he loves about films and why he is making what he wanted to say. Say what you will about Kevin Smith, but I do think that all of his films have some message, which is more than you can say for Michael Bay.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think what that is, like, you can call it heart. I just call it honesty. Like, it rings of truth.
Authenticity.
Where you cut beneath like the dick and fart jokes and the ridiculous situations and scenarios. And Kevin Smith always gives you a glimpse at who he is. And like, at least like what the human motivating factor of what it is that's going on. Like, we get to the theme and it's very relatable and it feels very honest. It feels vulnerable. Like he is opening himself up and saying, here it is. This is what's concerning me. Yeah. And now I'm going to share it with you. And, it makes you forgive if something didn't quite hit or if something felt juvenile. It makes you forgive that because you're like, I see now. Like, you were setting me up to then peel away that layer and then give me this. Whether that was deliberate or not, that's just kind of the way he speaks to his audience. And I can't help but appreciate that.
No, I do think it's deliberate, and I think it's the reason. There's always a reason behind the films that he's making, and I think it shows in his work. It shows that he knows he sets out to say something, even if what he wants to say is Tusk. And I just want to have some fun talking about podcasters,
body
and
horror,
toxic masculinity, and yes, and body horror, and just to have just to take a piss, as the UK would say.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but and the same thing with Red State. Red State, he took a hard left.
I fucking love Red State. I love Red State. I thought Red State was a gamble.
Red State doesn't even feel like a Kevin Smith film.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it pays off. Like it is. I find it to be one of his most unique and interesting films.
Yes.
It's a wild swing that for me pays off. I don't love it. Like I don't cherish it like I do some of the other Kevin Smith movies. But there is something about that I just can't help but admire. That like, man, this guy took everything he was familiar with, everything he was comfortable with, and threw it out the window and put himself in a place where he could be wildly ridiculed, where he could be torn apart by critics, and he could make a piece that, I mean, it becomes an abstract piece at the end, and you run the risk of people like not getting it. Like you might not get that movie, and it's going to either sink or swim your project.
Well,
and
stick around to the end. John Goodman will explain everything to you.
Holy shit. Holy shit, though. Like, what a wild. I would love to just, like, describe it, but if you haven't seen Red State, give it a chance. Like, go check that movie out. It
is dark, and it's violence, and it deals with religious cults, and, it doesn't pull any punches, and that
it really does. No, not at all.
And I don't know. Even though it doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith movie, I don't know what other director would have made this film, and taken the approach he does with it.
I mean, there's a lot of like a Cabin Fever kind of feel to this movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can't remember the director of that one.
That's
Eli Roth.
Elon Roth.
Elon Musk.
Eli Musk.
I think Eli Roth probably could have made Red State, but not the same way. Still not the same way.
No. Yeah. And it probably wouldn't have had as much to say as I think he does ultimately. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could. Do you want to like go through each of the movies individually, or just kind of hit high points?
I thought so initially, but we've been jumping around.
Because I know we're jumping around all over the place.
But we're thematically staying on task. So we've been dancing around chasing Amy a little bit. Let's catch Amy and pin her down and talk about it because 1997, my favorite of his, I think, even though, as you mentioned, it is problematic. I did revisit it recently, knowing that I probably wasn't going to feel the same way about it. And there are elements of juvenile humor that he had been known for from Clerks and Mallrats, but this one felt like him growing up. Obviously before Dogma. This one felt perfect for me because, to back up, one of the things I loved about Kevin Smith was, I was raised strict Catholic, no cursing, and my mom always said, like people who curse only do it because they're not intelligent enough to use better words, right? They have to debase themselves and their language and use dumb words. And Kevin Smith was the first person who came into my life who really challenged that because right off the bat from Clerks, he's got those chapter markers in between where it's just like white text on a black screen.
Yeah.
I didn't know half of those words. I'll be honest. I had to. I watched Clerks with a dictionary the first time because I was like, "Oh, I feel like I should know what this is." But
now you know why. You know why he's an artist that's like that will use bad language, and it kind of challenges that idea, is because one of his heroes was George Carlin, and he was inspired by Carlin, and Carlin is that right on the money.
To a T, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good call, good connection. I never made. But he showed me that you could still say intelligent things and drop F-bombs every other word, and that does not affect the character or the content of your words. Chasing Amy to me was the ultimate kind of realization of that. Still kind of had the juvenile humor, guys talking about weird taboo sex stuff, but it leading somewhere and it leading to thoughtful questions about what is sexuality? Why are we different? Yes, it seems insensitive in today's environment, some of the conversations that are had and some of the questions that even Ben Affleck is asking of Amy. No.
Joey Lauren
Alyssa
Adams.
Jones. There you go. Yeah. Joey Lauren Adams. But, who amongst us that age, I would sit around with my group of friends and we would have silly conversations where we're kind of like working things out, but we're doing it in a way that seems shocking. And I remember coming out of that movie kind of seeing things differently and feeling like I'd been challenged and also feeling like I could relate to, these are the conversations that we're having. These are the things we're trying to figure out. In the early 90s, seeing gay characters on TV, like that wasn't a thing yet, unless it was about the controversy of seeing somebody gay on TV. So to have an entire movie.
Or if it was like a flamboyant neighbor that would come over and like was the comic relief of a show.
Exactly. They always kind of had to fit the stereotype, right? And this movie doesn't really fall into those traps, I think. And all the characters are, while still living in the View Askew universe, real people with real emotions. And even the way that it wraps up, Ben Affleck thinks he knows the answer, and she kind of shoots him down. And I think that's kind of where it redeems itself a little bit too, where it's this guy trying to figure out the other side, and he thinks he has it figured out, but it's not something that you can dictate.
He could just change somebody,
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
But I love you, and so because I love you, you should be able to change. Like, I should be able to fix you or change you.
Right.
And it's like, dude, she's not broken. Like, you're not. Don't try to fix her. She's not broken. This movie again features a fantastic Jason Lee. He has this one. He has this one scene with Ben Affleck where he's like trying to argue like about how, dude, what are you doing? You're in love with a lesbian. Like, what do you? And so he draws this like crossroads, and he's like, all right, on one side you've got Santa Claus, on the other side you've got an Easter bunny.
The Easter
bunny.
bunny.
On this side you've got a butch bull dyke, and then on this side you've got a non-agenda, effeminate lesbian.
The lipstick lesbian, right?
The lipstick lesbian, and in the middle is $100 bill. Who gets to it first? and what is it? Does Ben Affleck's like the dyke?
I don't know who.
And he's like,
oh, yeah.
You know why? Because the other three are figments of your fucking imagination.
Yes. Really abrasive, yet creative way to make his point.
Yes. I mean, and you could argue that he's a little off as well, but at the same time, like his delivery of this line, and he's supposed to be kind of the idiot character. And I think that's important. I think that's something that people don't realize when they watch movies too, that they think that every word from every character is what the writer or director thinks. And it's like, no, we put things in the mouths of the idiot character so you as the audience know this is the point we're trying to refute.
And I think he drives that point home too at that scene at the end where Ben Affleck is making a proposal, an indecent proposal to the three of them, basically saying, hey, we should have a three-way and that'll kind of solve all of our problems. And Jason Lee Brody's up for it. Wait, is he Brody in that movie? No. What's his character's name?
No, he's Banky.
Whatever.
Banksy.
Banky. There you go.
Yeah.
No, well, that's the actual artist. Yeah, you're right.
Banky Edwards.
He's up for it. So it really kind of recolors the rest of his actions in the first two acts of the movie, because you're like, oh, he's these feelings he has are kind of out of some sense of repression maybe, and him not understanding his own sexuality fully enough. So I think from that aspect, it still has value today, and I don't think it's been dated, but it's also, I mean, it was a movie that was made in the 90s, but to say that it doesn't care about its subject, that it's making fun of homosexuality, not at all.
I think,
it's very embracing of it.
It definitely is. Yeah, it definitely embraces it. I think that it's kind of like, I would compare it to the new Aaron Sorkin stage play of To Kill a Mockingbird, where the person to tell this story about, racial intolerance, the person who's trying to fix this story about racial intolerance because they feel like it's too whitewashed, probably shouldn't be a white man. It's just I don't think you're the person that's going to fix the voice. And that's kind of how I feel when I look back on Chasing Amy, where I'm like, the guy who's going to write a story about having, relationships and how you relate to gay people probably shouldn't be the cisgendered white guy. But at the same time, he does a good job. He does a great job. It's just that you could see his limitations of writing from the point of view of the gay characters.
But But I think most of the characters are kind of honest about it, and it's from the point of view of a cis white guy. So
absolutely,
it's okay for
absolutely
those characters to have that bent. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there's that one scene that is probably the one that I can't support or get behind, where Joey Lauren Adams and her lesbian friends are kind of hanging out, and it's almost like taboo. Now, I would love to talk to somebody in that community and see if it was in fact seen that way back in the 90s, but they kind of her lesbian friends kind of almost turn on her because she's essentially bisexual, which nowadays, isn't really, I don't think would happen, and I'm not even sure would have happened back then. That feels like a little more, Kevin Smith needed to move the plot along, needed some conflict, needed some motivation, and this was a way to provide it.
Right. And then obviously you have the famous scene at the end where Silent Bob gives his monologue about chasing Amy. And it kind of like, it picks up from a theme that we got at the end of Clerks, where Silent Bob delivers like the most profound bit, where he's like,
saves the best parts for himself, doesn't he?
Not all girls bring you lasagna, or most of them just cheat on you.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, holy shit.
Finally. Oh, I love that. I love that one line in Clerks. And did he do it? Yeah, he had one line in Mallrats, didn't he? That was like a throwaway. So I'm glad that.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah, but it was meant for laughs. It wasn't a. Well, let's see. Who did he say that to? Was that supposed to be meant to be profound?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't supposed to be profound. We then at the end. What was it? At the end of he doesn't speak in Dogma, does he?
He may not.
Maybe he has like one thing. I know that he in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where Jay is like trying to figure out what the fuck he's trying to say, and he's pointing at the sign on the back of the car. It's like critters of fucking Hollywood, but I love that Jay's like, "What the fuck? Just tell me. You can always tell that fucking Amy story. Why don't you just tell me what you're trying to say?"
And I love that. And you just reminded me, what movie is it where he does the monologue from Glengarry Glen Ross at the Klan rally? As a distraction, right?
I think that's Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Is that Reboot? Is that
Reboot? Yes.
He does the whole Alec Baldwin, Glengarry Glen Ross. Yes. What are you talking about? You talking about coffee? Because all to the Klan's members. Put that crucifix down.
Put that crucifix down. Yes.
I don't know how I feel. I'm conflicted about that because at one point, like if he weren't the director, I love that Silent Bob always gets the lines. But on the other hand, seems a little self-serving, right? You're the director and you're giving your character the know-it-all. He's the Yoda of this universe.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, though, because he's Silent Bob. Like, he's always listening. He's always kind of taking in what's going on.
Yeah. Still waters run deep.
You could argue that Silent Bob and Jay are the C-3PO and R2-D2
absolutely
of this series of movies.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones that witness everything. And what's funny is, like, we got those 2-3 movies where, like, they are the plot. They are the things that move it along, starting with Dogma, where they become central characters.
Now, how did you feel about that?
I thought it was great. I think
it worked, too.
It fit in with the story because you also had, like, working against them or to even them out, you had Chris Rock, you had Salma Hayek,
Alan Rickman,
and then the great. I was leading up to that, and then the great Alan Rickman as Metatron, and one of my favorite Alan Rickman performances too.
Optimus,
I still function. Wanna bet? I think his performance as Metatron in Dogma. It's one of my favorites, and because of that scene he has, and I think we talked about this before on the podcast, the scene he has with Linda Fiorentino at the water, where she's like, why is this me? Why do I have to do this? And he tells the story about Jesus, and he's like, you're like him. He was funny, and like it's just this really honest and gentle performance, but so like, I don't know, like he takes all the ludicrous stuff that's going on in that movie and grounds it immediately.
Yeah.
And he's an angel, but he grounds everything that's going on.
And I think that's part of why that film works too, because you have to have some comedy. You have to have these bumbling characters leading you through, because the subject matter is pretty serious, and hard to talk about religion in movies without offending everybody. I even know
Which is-
this movie did offend everybody, but
Which is wild because the movie's about like understanding and accepting faith, and
Yeah,
you know, which really like, if anything, this movie's trying to like direct you back towards God. If you look at it honestly,
I agree.
And people picketed this movie.
yeah. Well, I think because of the aforementioned George Carlin character, you can't have a
Cardinal Glick.
Cardinal doing some of the things and saying some of the things he does. The Buddy Christ,
The
I
Buddy
think,
Christ.
was also a point of contention.
Which again, like, so
What's wrong
I'm
with-
gonna
Yeah.
peel back the curtain here. I'm sorry. My mother was this like just devout Catholic.
Same.
She was like strict, hardcore Catholic, and we watched this movie, and she fucking loved it.
Yeah?
She loved this movie.
Wow.
She loved like the message behind the movie about like just the it doesn't matter what you believe in, just that you believe. Like she used to tell me that. Like she's like, look, this is the Buddy Christ thing. Like she had I told her about it. I was like, yeah, man, people pissed off about this Buddy Christ thing, and she's like, why? They're right. Like, this is nice. It's nice to see Jesus happy.
Wow.
Like, and the whole story is about like, why are we mourning our faith all the time? Like, why are we so sad? Why are we're punishing ourselves all the time because of what happened thousands and thousands of years ago, instead of celebrating that this happened and this is why we're here? And so she got it, which was kind of fun for me,
Yeah,
that
I can
got to
imagine.
have that connection with her.
Yeah, my mom not so much. I don't know that she ever saw Dogma. I did show her Pulp Fiction, and I think that's about as far as she went with R-rated films. Maybe that wasn't the one to ease her into the world of R-rated movies. But,
Did she make it to the Gimp? What did you think about
we
the
watched it.
Gimp?
I sat right next to her. Joe, I showed her this. I sat her down, and I was like, "You have to see this film."
Mom, check it out. He's going to try to fuck this guy in the ass.
It was a different time in the 90s. We were exploring a lot, and I didn't know where her limitations were, or mine, to be honest. But yes, just to wrap up on Dogma, loved that film. Loved it from the minute I read the script at 2 a.m. over Thanksgiving weekend in my cousin's house in Houston. The only thing I was disappointed from having read the script and then watching the movie was there's a scene near the end that is described in the script where once again Jason Lee showing up, this time as a baddie, and he gives the heroine, I can't remember her name was,
Bethany.
he gives her like a vision of what hell is, and in the script Kevin Smith just describes the most hellish stuff that she sees, and then ultimately in the movie they couldn't show any of that stuff, so you wouldn't know really, except for I think he describes it, but even then it's not the same. So that was my only point of disappointment. And then, of course, the low budget feeling. And Kevin Smith doesn't really move the camera a lot. He's not a dynamic. Again, the value comes from the words and the scenarios and the thoughts and ideas, not necessarily from the visuals and the performances, I would say.
And the strip club scene with Selma Hayek.
And of course, yes, anytime you get some TNA. Speaking of that,
Candy girl.
you mentioned. Oh man, great soundtrack. We haven't really talked about his music choices, but I think he picks some good needle drops every now and then. The Clerks soundtrack, if I can go back to the beginning, has some great the song that plays over the credits.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell. I love that song. And then in Chasing Amy, the entire Chasing Amy soundtrack, which for the longest time you couldn't find. Some of the tracks weren't licensable, and I don't think they have a proper soundtrack out, but good song choices in that one that kind of match the feel.
And then leading up to, I think his biggest soundtrack release was probably Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You had there were so many, so many songs in that
Some
movie.
big names on that one, right?
Oh yeah,
On that soundtrack and in that film.
which you look at his movies though, and like the people that he's worked with, like he's worked with George Carlin, no longer with us. Carrie Fisher, no longer with us.
Alan
Val
Rickman.
Kilmer, no longer with us. Alan Rickman, no longer with us. James Vanderbeek, no longer with us.
Oh, that's
Bud
right.
Cort, who played God in Dogma, no longer with us. That guy, he has worked with so many people, and it's so sad. It's sad to see like people that he's grown close to, that he's formed bonds with, that quickly leave us. Stan Lee, he worked with Stan Lee.
Oh shit! Yeah, of course, big one right there.
Yeah, so it's
He
crazy.
actually kind of brought Stan Lee back onto the map, right? Or at least in movie. Had
movies.
Stan Lee ever appeared on film before?
I can't tell you if he has or if
Before
he hadn't.
Mallrats?
But the first time I'd seen him on screen, other than like documentaries, was Mallrats. Yeah.
And then cut to 10 years later, and he's in every Marvel film.
At least all the Infinity Saga ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And we focused a lot on movies.
We have.
But we haven't talked about the Clerks cartoon series.
Oh, let's do it. Joe, I recently rediscovered and revisited it, and it holds up.
Oh, my
can I
God.
say?
It's so good.
It is
It's
so funny.
good. Like you talked about Glengarry Glen Ross and Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's voice work in this TV show
Yes.
is fucking phenomenal. It's so good,
And it's
man.
not like a cameo. He does a major character who
Yes.
appears in every episode. Now, there's only 6 episodes.
Leonardo.
Yes.
Well, it's one of my favorite bits, and I still say it to this day when I'm driving around and people don't know how to drive in the weather, or if the kids are looking out the window and going, "Look, it's raining." I'm like, there's that scene where Leonardo is talking to the Canadians, and the way Canadians are portrayed in the show is like they're Aborigines.
It's just like natives. Yes.
And they get on there like, Leonardo.
Wearing maple leaves.
and then you hear him on the other end of the line. He's like, "No, not evil spirits. It's just rain."
Yeah, you want to talk about a show that was ahead of his time.
It is so well done.
And highly quotable. Joe, I'm going to quote a line from an episode of Clerks, the animated series, but I'm just going to do it dryly. But you will know exactly what I'm referring to. Who is driving? Oh, no, Bear is driving. How can that be?
How can that be? Everybody work.
I probably...
Everybody
work. We are slaves. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it comes in episode... Is that episode 2?
Is it episode
or maybe
2?
3?
Shit, I don't know.
Well, episode 2 is also famous because it's a flashback episode to the only other episode they had, episode 1.
That's right.
They keep revisiting. Hey, remember that time we climbed that wall? That was last episode, Randall. It is so good. It's
That
ahead
was
of
just
his time.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Remember when we locked ourselves in the freezer?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so clever, ahead of its time. Just the comment, like you could seriously put this on like Cartoon Network or Toonami or nowadays Funimation or any of
Adult
those,
Swim.
Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And it would feel just as fresh. It's so funny.
It's
and biting satire too. Before South Park was doing it.
Great. That when they brought back Axel Foley and did the Beverly Hills Cop thing where they're in court and there's Judge Reinhold, all stand for the Honorable Judge Reinhold. And he has nightmares of them running out of bananas to put in tailpipes.
Just
Axel, don't go.
so many fun, irreverent things that he couldn't do even in film back in the day, but that were just translated perfectly to animation and cartoons. And just short 22-minute episodes. I really wish there had been more. The design of the characters too, the caricatures of all of the actors from
really
Clerks,
nice.
done by the guy who did. Did he do Powerpuff Girls? No, Kim Possible.
Samurai Jack?
Kim Possible, I think.
Oh, Kim Possible. Oh man. It's good. Another animated franchise that Kevin Smith has given us was the reboot Revelations and Revolution.
Oh, yeah. He-Man?
Revelations and Revolution of Masters of the Universe. Yes.
Yeah.
Those are great. They're really great, and it's not like there's no Jay and Silent Bob, like there's no Dick and Fart jokes, but it takes He-Man and the lore and what we knew of He-Man, and gives it a nice fresh coat and brings it places it hasn't been before. Like in the first season, it's one season. Revelations is one season, but it's like split into 2 parts. And at the end of the first part, fucking He-Man dies. Like they kill off Prince Adam, and like.
Pissed off a bunch of
If
people.
you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It pissed off a lot of people. And then, part 2 comes along and I feel like really redeems it. I loved it. I loved the whole journey on that. But I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan. So it was kind of made for me. But yeah, his work on that is also phenomenal.
He wrote for some comics too, right?
He wrote for Daredevil.
That's right.
He did a Daredevil run. He did some Green Arrow for DC, which was really great.
Oh, yeah.
Where he had like this character named Onomatopoeia, where like the character made the sounds of things that he would do.
That's hilarious.
And it was like, this is really clever. Like, it's really good. The problem with him, though, was that he was never hitting deadlines in comic books. His comics,
really?
like, I think there's a Black Cat and Spider-Man, or I think it's some Black Cat comic series that I don't think he ever finished.
Oh,
or
that's
if he
right.
did, I missed the conclusion of it.
Because the artist, like half of the page would be taken up of like speech bubbles, right? And you just
Yes.
have the artist was having to draw around his writing, which
Around it.
Kevin Smith, we haven't talked about that a little bit, but he's pretty verbose, isn't he? The guy can talk. Especially if you've seen like any of the...
for a guy who played Silent Bob.
Exactly.
He was very verbose.
If you've ever seen any of the Evening with Kevin Smith stand-up, basically stand-up comedy routines he's done, he likes to talk.
I did.
But super entertaining.
One of the stories from that stuck with me was when he had the project of writing the Superman Lives script.
Superman. Mm-hmm.
And he talked about this whole experience with Tim Burton. And how David Peters wanted him to, he had all these stipulations for what he wanted in the script. And at one point, he wanted Superman to fight a giant fucking spider. And he was like, what? You want him to fight a giant spider? What the hell is this all about? And so one year, Kevin Smith had come to Dallas, and he was coming up to the radio station. And I had, friend of the show, Jay, I had him draw a picture of Superman fighting a giant spider
nice.
On a movie set, but it was Superman with Edward Scissorhands hands and hair and stuff, and a Tim Burton sitting at a director's chair saying "cut." And I ended up giving that to Kevin Smith. I framed it and gave it to Kevin Smith. So he was like, "Give me a piece of paper." And he wrote on this piece of paper, he's like, "Joe, that drawing is so incredibly cool. Thank God it never came to pass." And now, I think we've had two Superman movies where the Henry Cavill one, and I think in the newest one too, there's Superman fighting what could be a giant fucking spider.
Oh, true. Oh, and yeah, you're not even talking about the movie, the Flash movie, where they included a scene from an alternate universe.
That's right.
Of Nicolas Cage,
right.
Superman, actually fighting that spider. Oh yeah, they brought it to life.
They brought it to
30
life
years later.
I forgot about that.
What a deep cut in joke for your multi-million dollar...
It's a deep fan cut. Yeah. Well, it paid the price.
Yes, it did. And also, we're talking about TV. He also has dabbled in some reality TV. He's got that Comic Book Men TV show. You ever seen that one, reality show?
Yeah.
Which he's barely in. It's mostly his friend, Walt Flanagan, right? And they own that comic book store.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, right?
Walt
Flanagan.
Brian Johnson
there you go.
And Ming Chen.
Yeah, there you go. And that's fun because it's basically like Pawn Stars, just with comic books, right? Like people bring in memorabilia and they price it, want to figure out how much it is, do a little segment on it. But then bookending the show is always like a round table that includes Kevin Smith and the regulars kind of talking about stuff. And I don't know about you. Have you seen this show?
Yeah.
Or just him, any interaction with him and this group of
I've
friends?
watched it, yeah.
He definitely comes off as a bit of a bully, as kind of an alpha who kind of makes fun of him. He maybe surrounds himself with people who he can kind of poke fun at, who aren't going to poke fun back at him.
Well, I think they do. They poke fun back at him. A lot of that is just the way that I read it is just they're friends and they give each other shit. Sure. They've been lifelong friends, and they rile each other up.
Sometimes he comes off a little mean-spirited for me.
Well,
but
I don't know.
Maybe that says more about me.
I think I come from a different place. Maybe I come from a less than nurturing environment.
yeah, maybe. I've been coddled.
He also produced the TV show Reaper with Ray Wise.
And Tyler Labine. And that guy playing the devil is what a great show. Thank you for bringing that up. Ray Wise, yes.
It's Ray Wise.
Was it on the CW? Late 90s?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was CW.
Actually really well written. Loved the premise, right? What was the premise? They sold their souls to the devil?
Well, this guy finds out he's the son of the devil.
That's what it was.
And so his soul is, I think, in jeopardy, but he has to help bring souls that have escaped from hell. He has to catch them with his buddy, and if he can deliver them back to the devil, then he'll get his soul back. Or I may be making some of this up. I think I'm about 40%.
That feels about right. Yeah, it's kind of like that Supernatural, if it were a comedy, or a little Monster of the Week show.
Yeah. Or more of a comedy.
Definitely.
But yeah, it gave us Tyler Labine, who
he's fantastic.
Fucking turns in a great performance in Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Oh, he's great in that, yes.
Where he plays the drunk customer. It's like, chug it, fuck it, football.
I love that guy.
It's for every Kevin Smith movie we talk about, it feels like there's two that we're not going to get to, like Jersey Girl or...
I'm fine missing that one. Listen, we did a whole podcast episode about Jersey Girl on our now defunct podcast, The Editing Bay, which you can find if you listen to podcasts. Go find The Editing Bay, and we did an episode on Jersey Girl and what? Didn't you guys do a Mallrats episode too? A couple of Kevin Smith films.
I think we did. Yeah,
Cop Out.
We did Mallrats. Cop Out. Jesus.
I think you did an afternoon delight on Cop Out.
That was a tough one.
Any parting thoughts there?
Capo was a tough one. That was rough. It's got like one good scene, but the rest of it is just like, it's hard to watch, man. And it's you go back and you listen to the experience he had with Bruce Willis. As a Bruce Willis fan, it's hard to listen to, where you're like, oh, I don't want to know that. That sucks. But
see your heroes,
yeah,
be assholes. Right?
It is what it is. Just to talk about influence, because you talked about how he influenced you in making Cemetery Weed. I did a web series called The Variants so many years ago, probably going on like 20 years ago at this point, that you could still find on YouTube, even though like one of the co-creators didn't know how to tag videos. And so he put like all the key terms in the title. So like if you look up The Variants funny gay comedy comic book web series, you might find it. But yeah, no, there was so much, but there is a Halloween episode or a costume episode that we do where I'm dressed up like Silent Bob. And it's my nod. You know, I think just about every episode there's some kind of nod to Kevin Smith, but that one's the most overt. But yeah, no, absolutely influenced and inspired.
Yeah, it's undeniable just the impact that he's kind of had on who we are as people, but also who we are as like movie watchers and movie appreciators. And, you know, kind of raised the bar, I think, in his own way for, you know, independent film, but also you can almost draw a direct line between his style of comedy and talking about comic books and comic book characters and scenarios to the shit that Marvel was doing, you know, where they were starting to kind of work in some Joss Whedon type comedy, that winking nod to the audience. You know, maybe Kevin Smith was the progenitor of that.
I mean, shit. What in Captain Marvel, we straight up get a cameo from Stan Lee as he's reading the Mallrats script, getting ready to shoot his scene.
Is he really? I never noticed that.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't notice that? Yeah.
I'll have to go back and check it out. Well, love him or hate him, Kevin Smith's been around for a long time. I love him. I think you would say the same as well.
Absolutely love him. I love him.
He's got more hits than misses. And even if you're not down with his style of humor, you can kind of appreciate the things he has to say, the ideas he has, and his style. He's got his own style. We'll give him that.
Glad he's still with us, man. That guy has.
Oh yeah,
he had that Widowmaker heart attack.
He almost wasn't there, right?
You know, caused him to kind of change his lifestyle. Yeah. I'm glad he's with us,
but not his fashion. So now he's just, whereas he used to fill out those jorts,
and the hockey jerseys,
and the hockey, yeah. Now they're just falling right off him. But thank God he's still with us, and hopefully remains with us and continues to produce movies and things that we love.
He's working on Jays of Future Past right now.
What is that all about?
It's basically his Avengers Endgame movie, which I thought Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was pretty close to it. But Jays of Future Past.
You're kidding.
I can only imagine.
Really?
No. He's posted about this recently, yeah.
I mean, even his latest Jay and Silent Bob movie, I really liked it. I thought it was funny that there was some creative stuff in it, and it still had that heart. So as long as it has those things, I'm in for whatever Kevin Smith is dishing out.
I'll keep coming back to it, for sure.
All right, give us your thoughts on Kevin Smith. If you like him, if you hate him, somewhere in between, let us know. You can do so on our, we've got an Instagram page. We also have a YouTube page now, which if you're watching us there, hi, wave to the audience there, Joe. Hi. You get to see what we look like. I apologize, but hey, that seems to fit into the theme, right? We're talking about Kevin Smith. We're kind of schlubs from the same generation sitting around talking about Star Wars and movies, right? So not much has changed for us.
That's right.
We are all Kevin Smith.
Oh my God.
So tune in next time.
The new low-res high-def t-shirt. We are all Kevin Smith.
Tune in next time to find out who we will be on the next episode of Low-Res High Def. Joe, thanks again for joining.
Thank you, buddy.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Next Wave Radio Network.
That's fucking gold.